I can't wait till I post my next video and it's like the Sam Reinhart trade offer and I'm like crying because it's like bad return. Do I know the Sabres or what? Hey everyone, my name is Melody, thank you for clicking on this video. And unlike yesterday, today, I am bummed. Oh man. So the Sabres traded Sam Reinhart to the Florida Panthers in exchange for their first round pick next year in 2022 and goaltending prospect Devon Levi. And that's it. It's crazy to think that like the NHL is so weird that Rasmus Ristolainen would be more valuable or get more in a trade than Sam Reinhart. I think like we saw yesterday with the Buchnevich deal, like I think the market for restricted free agents, especially like ones with arbitration rights, might be a little bit lower than defensemen apparently, especially with Sam being 1 year away from free agency. Like, I mean, I guess all those factors could have led into him getting kind of an underwhelming return. The thing is, like, I've always really liked Sam Reinhart. He was just always very consistent, like a consistent, like 20, 25 goal scorer every year. I think in his 6-year career, he only didn't score 20 once. He's just like a really good, reliable second line center. And for what Florida gave up, I mean, that's awesome. Also kind of funny to think about that like 3 of the top 4 picks in the 2014 draft in Ekblad, Bennett, and Reinhart are all on the Florida Panthers now. But Sam Reinhart, honestly, like, he's just like a really solid, likable dude. He never did anything flashy. There was nothing about his game that was flashy or exciting, but he was always just so solid all the time, consistent. Weird number hat tricks too. The dude has 4 hat tricks. I don't even know how. Like Panthers fans, what you need to know about Reinhart: he's a very smart player, very high hockey IQ. He's a great playmaker. He's great in front of the net, great hands in front of the net. Underrated shot, I think. We didn't really get to see it much, but I think he has like a sneaky good shot. Downsides, I mean, he's a pretty average skater. He, you know, isn't super hard to play against. And like I said, he won't do anything that'll blow you away. He's definitely not fancy. He's just always in the lineup. He's never really dealt with any kind of injury issues. And the thing with Sam, like, like I said before, he always kind of has lived in Jack Eichel's shadow, and so I think he was always overshadowed by Jack, which made him remarkably underrated. But I think you saw it this year. Like, he was always playing on Jack Eichel's wing, and people accused him, like, oh, he's only playing the way he is because of Jack Eichel. Without Jack, what would he be? So you saw it this year, like when Jack Eichel went out with his injury, and they moved Sam Reinhart to center, which is the position he was drafted as. I think you saw, like, what he really is. Like, he didn't need Jack. He had his best year as a Sabre, and Jack wasn't even there. And you finally got to see him at center, which, I mean, he should have been there the whole time. Honestly, you drafted him as a center, you know, especially when you traded away Ryan O'Reilly. You could have used him, honestly, as a solid second-line center, and they just never did. I feel like they mismanaged Sam Reinhart so much since drafting him. So I think he's going to go on to a Florida Panthers team, a playoff team, and I really think he's going to do well. He's going to have a lot more talent surrounding him, and like I really do like what Florida's building. They don't do anything, like, they don't make any crazy huge moves, but I think they've slowly been building like just an overall, like, top to bottom, just solid team. So I think this move is a phenomenal move for the Panthers. It's like, of course you're gonna do that to a divisional opponent too, right? I mean, not like it really matters for us. I'm already watching Shane Wright highlights on YouTube. But the thing with Sam Reinhart for me, and this always kind of struck me, like, so there was this video of Sam Reinhart's draft interview with the Sabres. He was talking to Tim Murray, and Tim Murray kind of questioned him because Sam Reinhart, he's definitely more reserved. He's more calm. And Tim Murray challenged him a little bit. He asked Sam, like, if he would be willing to, like, slash a guy or show some emotion or, you know, really bring the energy if the team needed it, if they looked to him to lead by example. And Sam responded, like, you know, he's a more composed guy. And then Tim Murray said this:
"You're going to be good. I know you're going to be good, but are you going to be great?"
And that's the thing with Sam Reinhart. Like, he was always good, but he was just never great. And even though it looked like maybe this year Sam Reinhart was kind of tiptoeing that line between good and great, he's just, like, he's never the kind of guy that would, like, carry your team to the playoffs or to any kind of contention. But he's the kind of guy that I think playoff teams that want to go deep, really value and it really could use. And honestly, like, I'm really excited because I would imagine the Panthers are probably going to be a playoff team this year. I'd be surprised if they weren't. I'm really kind of looking forward to the possibility of seeing guys like Jack Eichel and Sam Reinhart actually in playoff games or in important games, like if it's going down the stretch and they're competing for a playoff spot, to see them in those situations, because their entire careers in Buffalo, I mean, their season's been over 2 months before the season ends. So just coming from someone who has spent the last 6 years, like, just following these guys and loving these guys and, you know, being fans of these guys and knowing that my team won't be remotely competitive for at least the next few years. I think it'll be really nice to see these guys in these kinds of situations and see, you know, how much different it is getting out of Buffalo and, you know, actually having a chance to succeed, I guess. It's really sad to say that, but I would love to see Sam Reinhart succeed. I thought he was a great guy. I thought he was great in Buffalo, a great person, and I'm honestly, I'm bummed. I'm going to miss him. Now, as for the return, it makes so much sense for Florida, and I'm just reading on Twitter now that they put a condition on the first round pick, so if the first round pick is in the top 10, then Florida has the option to defer it until 2023. I don't see that really being an issue, but like if you think about it from Florida's perspective, they give up their goalie prospect that they drafted in the 7th round last year. Like, that's it. Obviously, he kind of came out of nowhere and had a phenomenal World Junior for Team Canada, but like they drafted Spencer Knight in the first round 2 years ago, and like he's definitely their goalie of the future. So did they really need this guy? Did they really need Devon Levi? Like, if he's the top prospect in a Sam Reinhart deal, you got him in the 7th round last year when you didn't even really need a goalie, like, holy hell. And then for that first round pick, like, I fully anticipate that first round pick being in the 20s next year. I'm not so sure that Florida really needs it. So if that's all you're giving up for a top 6 center that is just coming off of his career best year without a ton of help surrounding him, like, good for you, man. I think the only thing of concern is maybe could just be a rental for Florida. I don't know. I haven't read anything on Twitter or anything yet about Sam Reinhart and contract talks with the Florida Panthers. There was talk that he kind of wanted to go out west, like Western Canada or out west somewhere. So I don't know if Florida had kind of had conversations about potentially long-term extension with Sam Reinhart yet. And if that's the case, if they end up locking him up long-term, that is just amazing. But even if he only ends up being a 1-year rental, like if, like, let's say he only wants to sign a 1-year deal in Florida or goes to arbitration or whatever, and this ends up being strictly a rental, a 1-year thing. 1, he's either going to help you with a playoff run, or 2, if somehow you're not in the playoffs and Sam doesn't want to re-sign long-term, who says they can't, like, re-flip him at the deadline? I'm just, like, thinking long-term here, but, like, what if they, like, flipped him at the deadline, and if for some reason they weren't a playoff team and ended up getting more than we just got for him? Like, that's, like, totally worst case scenario for the Panthers. Like, there's no losing this trade for the Panthers unless, you know, Devon Levi is somehow the next Dominik Hasek or something. But even then, like I said, they already have Spencer Knight, so who cares? From the Sabres' perspective, I'm confused. Like, I just don't know how you can't do better. I don't know how Rasmus Ristolainen got a better return than Sam Reinhart. I feel like Samson is, like, 5 times more valuable to the team than Risto was. Obviously, NHL GMs really value hulking right-hand shot D-men. I don't know. But if you look at it from the Sabres' perspective, like, clearly they wanted depth at goaltending. Okay. The thing is, though, they already have Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen and Eric Portillo in their system. Those are 2 pretty solid goaltending prospects. So I guess it's never a bad idea to have depth at goaltending, and I think the Sabres really learned that this year when they had to play, like, their 6th-string ECHL goalie this year. But I just think with Luukkonen and with Portillo, I think the Sabres had other needs, and I don't know, this is like, I go from the high of the Ristolainen trade and then to this low, like, this just feels underwhelming, like, and there's a very real possibility, honestly, that nothing comes of this, right? Like, late first-round picks aren't, you know, guarantees in any way, especially with the Sabres. And, like, let's say, like, you get a guy in the end of the first round, bare minimum, he needs, like, 2 or 3 years to develop. So we're probably not even going to see this guy until, like, 2025 or something, if we see him at all. I don't know. Like, this one is a lot more disheartening. So now, like, if Kevin Adams would have been able to get another, like, Ristolainen-like return for Sam Reinhart, I'd be feeling a lot more confident about the last one to go, Jack Eichel. The reports are that Elliot Friedman said last night is the price on Eichel is still, even now, very high, and Kevin Adams isn't really budging on that. So I hope that remains true. But now I'm definitely more nervous. I gotta be real. You can only get for someone what someone else is willing to give up. And if that's the very best Kevin Adams can do, then that's the best he can do. And obviously Samson wasn't really interested in being here long term anyway. So you gotta do what you gotta do. But either way, like I said, one more to go. Jack Eichel is really the only one left to move. And that's gonna be the biggest one. That's gonna be the most important one that you really, like, I cannot feel this way about the Jack Eichel trade. I can't. Like, I can't feel like the Sabres got underwhelming returns. It's so important that the Sabres not screw this one up. So I don't know. We'll see. But anyways, as always, thank you for watching this video. The roller coaster ride as a Buffalo Sabres fan continues. Make sure to hit that thumbs up button, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. I will see you soon. Go Bills. Bye, guys.